Welcome back to the Audible Angle. We are once again recording live in front of a studio audience. Couple things to clean up. We're going to start with the bad. It seems like it's a thing now where I have to go after the co-host and or guests regularly now. Gentlemen, we got a comment this week on the main episode about the audio quality of the show. It seemed to be in particular me on a text chain. I mentioned it, or Irby mentioned it, and I said, "Yeah, we got a comment on that too." And it seemed like both you guys noticed it while we're recording. Druzy, we'll start with you. What prevented you from mentioning that I sounded like I was speaking from a garbage can?
I didn't actually particularly notice it maybe as much as Irby, and you guys are the professionals here. I am just the somewhat regularly occurring guest, and so didn't quite notice it as much, at least on my end.
Herbs, any excuses for not mentioning it early? Do I sound okay right now?
You sound good right now. I do have a valid answer of the reasoning why I didn't, Billy, and quite frankly, the reason I didn't was we were on a roll. Like, that was a top fiver episode, top 3 potentially. I mean, we've got a big mountain to climb there to get that high, but I just felt like we were on a roll, the momentum was going for us, and didn't wanna derail.
Speaking of momentum, perfect segue, almost like we script out the entire show. Let's not forget, for watchers of the entire show, I didn't go back and cut this into a short just out of laziness. But if you recall, I did declare the Gopher season over. But we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the last sentence wrap. They will beat a ranked team. And folks, Irby doubled your 401k. I doubled whatever loan amount you could get during the college football playoffs. And if you're listening closely, you could have easily made big time money on the Gophers upsetting Michigan State. We'll cover more college basketball on next week's College Hoops show. We're being forced by the NFL once again to talk NFL. It is Super Bowl week, and we have no choice in the matter but to address the upcoming societal event and also football game. We got the Seahawks traveling to New England. Just kidding, everyone. That's just how it looks on the line here. Patriots plus 4.5. They're getting about 37% of the bets and 40% of the money. So pretty even there. Sharps in public. Looks like, obviously, if you do a little math, that's a little heavy action on the Seahawks. Not terribly heavy, but the line, as far as I see it, hasn't moved, and we're looking at an over-under of 45 and a half. Kind of depends on where you got it, and to be expected, I think. Heavy bets in dollars on the over. I think that's generally kind of a public stance. Um, Druzy, you're a little bit more of our gambling analyst. How do you feel about the spread and the over under on this matchup?
Yeah, spread seems fair overall. I think Dilly. I think most people probably feel like Seattle should be favored. 4.5 feels like a pretty fair number given what we've seen from both of these teams so far in the playoffs, and not surprised at people taking the over to a large extent. That is a pretty low over under total. I forget where it sits. It's one of the lowest in the last several years. I know that. And 45.5 is not a lot. And I believe I checked the number earlier this week. I think 5 of the last 7 or 6 of the last 8, something like that, Super Bowls have hit the under. But this is a pretty low number, so not surprised at some of the action going to the over.
Herbs, what are your thoughts as a perhaps not as active gambler? Although you do drive to a night at casino, which does support our program to place legal wagers from time to time. Do you have a feel for the spread or the over under on this big matchup?
I think we're going to get a little deeper here, but looking straight at it, I am kind of surprised that the line has been pretty steady for the last 2 weeks. I think it opened at 4.5 and it stayed right there. Like it hasn't moved a muscle. I mean, I wasn't checking the daily, but for it to be sitting at 4.5 on the Seahawks side seems like it's pretty steady. I do honestly, I feel like this is almost a reason to take the Patriots to cover this. Um, I just feel like they could potentially keep this close. I mean, if you look at what they've done all season, they could keep it close. I like the line. The line kind of is a teaser with 4.5 getting the hook. I don't know. It's more than field goal. So I guess feel like this is making you put more money on the Patriots just because of the line. How about I put it that way?
And I think anytime you have a position that's a little bit anti-public, you can generally feel good about it. I don't think that there's really any chance that the Patriots run away with this game. I think Seahawks defense is too good. They're pretty balanced. We always want to see them run a little bit more, especially now if they're going to be able to. I mean, I don't know what they'd be saving Kenneth Walker for at this point. So if they feature him, I think that bodes well for their offense. If I'm laying down money, it'll probably be a total ad hoc guess a half hour before kickoff. So I wouldn't say this is not a 401k bet. But I think I would take Patriots plus 4.5. It's not what we would have said 2 weeks ago or at all through the season. We've been definitely not on board with the Patriots, but at this point, you gotta give them a little leeway here. They made it here. They played their schedule. They got here. We got um, let's talk about the coaches first. It's a little out of order. Um, we have Vrabel and we have McDonald, both named Mike, and they're both just an interesting tidbit before we talk about each one. They're two defensive coordinators. The NFL is generally a copycat league, and I feel like the wisdom has been, and when we talk about coaches, you hire an offensive coach. And I think about 7 out of 10, six was in any case, most of the coaching new hires were offensive side of the ball, and yet here we are with two defensive coordinators taking teams that most people weren't picking to start the year. Herbs, does either coach have an advantage here?
Well, I think they do, but I think that's kind of equal. So I think they each of them are different advantages. I think Vrabel is a master motivator. I think he's one of those guys that'll be the hoorah rah. And I don't see McDonald as that guy, but I do see McDonald as more of a mad scientist type fella. I think he's gonna maybe outcoach Vrabel in a sense, but Vrabel's gonna get 110 out of his guys. Like he's that throwback guy. He played back in I mean, I guess it's probably the 2010s, 2000, maybe 2000s is when he played. I think probably 2010s. But he's one of those smash mouth guys. I think he coaches that way. I mean, with their whole mantra of the warrior mentality, I think that's something the team can rally around. You don't hear that from the Seahawks side either. I mean, you just don't. Vrabel also has a huge following, and I think he's using the public sentiment of we're tired of seeing the Patriots, even though they stunk last year. We're happy then, and we're tired of it already now, and that's really the Brady hangover, the Belichick hangover, the Kraft hangover, if you will. But we just it's I'm a bigger fan of Vrabel because of the things he does. I like the hoorah rah guy, but then I do like McDonald is what he's done with it. I mean, he's smart. I mean, he does it well. He gets the team to play, and it's X's and O's guy. I just don't see Vrabel as that. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm not inside over there in New England. Kraft hasn't granted my pass yet for behind the scenes, which is a joke. I think he's just jaded and thought I voted against him. I didn't. I voted for him to get in the Hall of Fame. But I'll be honest. There is Vrabel. I'm a big fan of because he's a hoorah guy. I like McDonald because what he did out there in Seattle.
Who did you vote for? The owner or Vrabel to get in the Hall of Fame already?
Kraft. I voted for Kraft to get in though, and he won't grant my goddamn backstage pass. Jerk.
I actually had to mail in our ballots for the Hall of Fame, and I don't know if you even realize this. You wrote You scratched out Robert and you put in Tucker Craft for the Hall of Fame. So that has maybe the confusion there. He maybe took that personally. Druzy, what do you see from the coaches here in this matchup? What do you like? What is there anything you don't like about these guys?
Yeah, I hate to be maybe bland here, and I especially hate to agree with Irby, but do agree with a lot of the things that he said. I do feel like Vrabel, more of like a culture guy, like trying feels like he's trying to restore like the culture thing with New England that they had with Belichick and Brady, and especially with Drake May, and also maybe an X factor in this game is Josh McDaniels, who's obviously been an offensive coordinator for a long time and was an offensive coordinator previously with the New England organization. So, they kind of have that culture fit. Like Irby was talking about trying to turn things around, put them back on the map. But like Irby was saying, I do think Mike McDonald might be a little bit better X's and O guy. I mean, scheme wise, it seems like everything Seattle has done this year has worked. Number one scoring defense, and they completely turned their offense around. So maybe maybe on a short week, I would have given a little bit more of an advantage to Mike McDonald, but maybe with 2 weeks, both guys obviously get to game plans. Probably a wash overall, it feels like, which I know is kind of a vanilla answer, but I don't see a huge advantage one way or another.
I find it interesting as far as the matchup goes. We did finally mention McDaniels, but we should mention Clint Kubiak as well. Still on the head coaches here. It's interesting because I think the Seahawks have a pretty clear advantage on the overall roster. I think their defense is probably better. Their offense, Jackson Smith and Jigba, even Cooper Cup, are better than at receiver. I like Kenneth Walker a lot. I always have. So I think McDonald's working with a little better team overall. But and Irby might not like this when it comes down to being a playmaker. Actually, I think Vrabel has a better quarterback in Drake May. He's young, it's unproven, it's early. Irby just passed away. If you're watching on video, um, in this type of game against good defenses, I'll take I'll take the mobile quarterback and Vrabel's ability to have that camaraderie kind of guy that we talked about. He's gonna Drake May is gonna dive head first for a first down and take hits he doesn't need, and Vrabel's gonna pump it up and it's gonna rally the team. I have some suspicions that Drake May will have worse stats, not look as good, yet somehow make more plays and gather fans' intrigue heading into next year. Any thoughts on McDaniels versus Kubiak? McDaniels has had his runs as a head coach, kind of gets forgotten about, just cycles back to New England every couple of years. Has he done anything to change our minds about him, or is he a guy that's should just be an offensive coordinator, probably in New England forever, and be happy with it?
Well, let me first. I'll throw this over to Druzy, but first and foremost, I got to tell. If the listeners are sitting there thinking the same thing I am, I'm like, thanks, Dilly, for not answering your own question at all and completely avoiding picking which coach is better and talking about quarterbacks and wide receivers and defenses and better. I mean, the question was this, Dilly, and I'm gonna chuck it back to you, Jersey. Hold on to that answer. I know you're begging to, but Dilly, answer the question. Who's the better coach and what's better on the coach? Don't bring in your buddy Drake May, which you're jumping on the bandwagon, by the way, and congratulations for that. Number two, what do you have against Sam Darnold? He's done nothing but win. I mean, he's got like 35 flipping wins in the last 2 seasons. You don't like him, but let's talk about McDonald and Vrabel. You ask the question, answer it. People want to know.
Earlier, in case there's any confusion about the format of the show, I ask the questions, you guys answer it, and then I say whatever I want. All right, just so you know. Can we get back to basics here? It's what's worked for us. It's got us up to almost 50 subscribers already, which means big time money. And of course, we're limiting that to YouTube way more. If I could even figure out how we have Apple followers and Spotify followers, no idea how any of that works. don't care. We know it's huge, and as the checks roll in, we don't ask a lot of questions. It's Vrabel. Vrabel is the better coach for his team, and the only thing that is equal about Mike McDonald to Vrabel is everything. So they are equally good. Is my final answer, and you guys can suck on that. Drew, did you have anything to say about anything we just said? And was there a question asked to you that you recall?
All I can say is this is why I love being a special guest, and I'm just happy it wasn't me being yelled at for asking an unnecessary question like I was my very first appearance. And so this is great.
Thanks, Druzy. That was very insightful. Let me ask you guys. We talked about quarterbacks. Let's jump in a little sideways, and then with some old quarterbacks, and then get into the new quarterbacks. Herbs, you were going into cardiac arrest talking about Tom Brady not having a bone in this game or a dog in this fight or whatever the saying was. Is that a problem? What Tom Brady had to say there?
I think it's a big problem, especially for his teammates. I mean, we know that we both came from a long history. I mean, you spent a lot of time with the Gophers on the football side. Dilly, Druzy, you and I spent a lot of time with the squad behind us as a Phoenix, and that's where the problem arises, Dilly. And it's kind of the one of those unwritten rules that none of us will probably be bold enough to cross, nor do we want to. It's the old adage of if the game's between UW Green Bay men's soccer and UW Milwaukee, whoever they are, don't care, men's soccer, I'll be honest, I'm going UW Green Bay. I mean, it's life. It's for life. Like I joined that squad, and at 47, I'm still following that squad. Those are my guys. I don't care who's on the roster; they're my guys. It's ride or die. So I think the issue is with his teammates and with the veterans that were there. They won 7 championships in his time there with Brady, and now he's kind of turning his back on people, and I don't like it. And I don't blame for Vince Wilfork being loud. Some other folks that are being loud and being like, come on, man, this is political horseshit. I mean, just 1 year he's spent, or 2 years maybe, as being a co-owner, a minority owner over at the Raiders. Nice organization to choose, Mr. Tom Brady. But here's the deal, Dilly. He's got to back the team that basically, people will argue, is he the GOAT? Okay, fine. All right, let's concede that in football, he's a GOAT because of how many championships, but he won those championships not alone. There was an organization, Bill Belichick got him a long ways. He was a great leader. Kraft and his upper management group there got the right humans in the building. So I think that it is a problem. I don't like that Brady is kind of turning his back on the organization, on the team, and in turn, his teammates and the veterans that have been there. So I don't like it. I think he could have just spoke honestly and not be political in that stance. And I think he would have gained a lot more fans there.
Druzy, do you have any eloquent ways to describe how much Irby is overreacting?
Yes, Irby is overreacting. Tom Brady is the GOAT, and I think he said what he had to say. I think if you had to ask him in a bar over a pint, he would say, "Of course, I have a soft spot for New England, and that's who I'm rooting for." But he won a title with a different organization, Tampa Bay, and he played 2 years there. He's also got this ownership stake in the Raiders, all while announcing games for various teams, week after week on Fox. And it's just kind of this complicated thing. And I think Brady being Brady and knowing what he has to say just said, hey, you know what? I don't have a horse in this race, but I just have a feeling secretly he does. And so, I think he's just recognizing his surroundings and a little bit of self-awareness on his part.
The official ruling on this one, Irby, I'll give my ruling and then you'll have a second chance to retort. The ruling is malarkey, total malarkey. Tom Brady is, hedging around. He's beating around the bushes on every norm in the NFL. Like you said, he's a broadcaster. He's a noted minority owner. And, he should just say whatever the hell he wants, just to strut a little more. You said it. He's the GOAT. He's already making the NFL bend the rules on can he be in the production meeting with the other team's coaches and stuff before broadcast because he's an owner of the Raiders. I say toot that horn and just say, yeah, I have a rooting interest in this game. I mean, 90% of the other broadcasters from that perspective have major bias in their rooting interests while they're trying to broadcast. And the ownership thing, he should challenge, he should have a budget for getting fines from the NFL for tampering or any other thing, because he should just say, I'm Tom bleeping Brady, and go with it. Herbs, you had your hands up.
I'm going back at you, Drew, because you've got to change your view, because here's why. There's
That's
not
right.
separate bloody rules. There are not separate rules for Tom Brady. Okay, you're not winning points, Tom Brady. What about Peyton Manning? Is he a Colt or is he a Broncos? I'll guarantee if the Colts are in the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning is wearing a Colts hat. Tell you that right now. How about one guy, a teammate of Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski? Is he cheering for the Buccaneers or the Patriots? He's cheering for the Patriots. He's on Fox. You're not above the law, Tom Brady. Come on. What about Deion Sanders? Is he a Niner or a Cowboy? Come on. He won Super Bowls with both. I don't like it. Back off on your comments there, Drew. I'm waiting for you to hear it.
Not going to back off. Tom Brady's the GOAT. He knows what he's doing.
Trust in Brady. Just trust Brady. That's what he
Brady,
said.
Man.
Yeah. Deflate these balls, he says.
That's right. There's a reason he keeps getting away with everything. He says the right things.
It's not the right thing. It's the right thing for viewers.
I got an idea on some politicians that Jersey must love that say one thing and do the opposite. There's a list of those guys. We'll get into that.
That's another episode.
When we come back from the break. Drake May, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. What do you think, Jersey? Who has the upper hand in real football, and who has the upper hand in winning this game? And is it the same quarterback?
Yeah, good question. You mentioned it earlier, Dilly. I mean, Drake May's skill set is ridiculous. Like, there's no doubt about his talent. He's absolutely the key part of the turnaround of the New England organization. I think that his one of the keys of this game is going to be his rushing ability and his scrambling ability. New England's rushing game doesn't scare me, but with Drake May, it does. But going back to Sam Darnold, I feel like it's just his year. I feel like there's something happening, and it's going back to Irby's Indiana squad. Like, there's destiny involved here. Darnold's been through a lot. So do I think Drake May is the better quarterback? Maybe, but Darnold plays better in this game. And so I'm going with my guy, Sammy Darnold. Plus, it's going to be the most Vikings fan thing of all time that Sam Darnold wins this game, which is partially why I'm picking him.
Irby, let me interject here quickly. I want to set this, frame it for the listener. Druzy just explicitly said that Sam Darnold equals Signetti. Do you agree?
I am very close to just being absolutely appalled. I am a big fan of Ryan Andrews, back from starting in 1996 all the way to 2026. So that is a 30-year relationship, and we are very, very close. Without some work there's going to be some work to be done to patch this up, but this relationship is icy currently, because here's the deal. To even think at any point in time to put the Seahawks or the Patriots organization in the same breath of Signetti and the boys and what they did for NCAA football in the last 3 months is exactly what we shouldn't be doing in such high points that we've got ourselves on this episode. Jersey, please do not. How about this? I'll be very clear. Keep Signetti out of your mouth. Keep the Hoosiers out your mouth.
All right, I'll set up the first couples therapy session for us soon, Herbs. I apologize, but all I said was, it seems like Darnold's destiny. That's.
And you said
I didn't say that. I didn't say this
Signetti.
Entire Seattle organization.
I'll be honest. My phone is currently ringing, and it's Signetti on it. He's being like, I'm not sure how I have no idea how Signetti, but why should we be surprised? He's got an inside loop to our episodes. He's
He's a
watching live,
producer.
one guy. Yes. So here's I'll answer the question, guys. I'm gonna get beyond my just absolute exacerbation of that fucking statement. It's crazy. But I,
Exacerbation.
yeah, that's a word
So
now.
it's something you do alone in the shower.
It's a combo of a couple
here's the
words,
answer.
but
I am going to soften my stance on Drake May, and I'm only going to soften it. I think Drake May is the better quarterback in this matchup. Okay, what we were talking about in previous routes is talking about Drake May's ability currently, okay, against the other great quarterbacks in this league. We don't have real great quarterbacks in this matchup, okay? I I cannot trust Darnold. I cannot. I watched him last year, and I believe, contrary to a lot of our listeners, they're telling me it's the offensive line's fault in Vikings country last year, why that ended. I believe it was on Sam Darnold. I believe Sam Darnold will make mistakes in crunch time, and this is no bigger. The lights are never brighter than this game on Sunday night at 5:30 Central. So this game is going to be focused on that. And I agree with you, Drew. I don't agree with you using Hoosiers and Hoosier country nor Signetti in any type of this game. Keep that out your mouth. We talked about that. But what I will tell you is that the running ability and the ability to get out of the pocket and escape pressure is going to be the difference in this game. One of the main differences. We'll get to the others, Dilly. I think you'll be teeing those up shortly. But here's the other thing. I think Sam Darnold has a little bit of experience on his side. I think he knows what's coming at him to a certain level. Played in the NFC Championship is something. I mean, it's a lot more than what Drake May has done. I think Drake May did a lot of looking at the stars last year in the season during the season, looking at the sky on his rump. There's been a turnaround, and I don't believe the turnaround is just because of Drake May. It's because Drake May hasn't beat them. Okay, Drake May hasn't thrown the key interceptions. That could happen in the bright lights. But I do think on paper, as we look at it, because of his running ability, Drake May is the better quarterback in this matchup. Please don't mince those words. In this matchup, Drake May is the better quarterback.
Ruzi, we've talked enough about the quarterbacks. Quick sidebar. The correct response to Herbs there rolling you out into the street and beating the shit out of you verbally, you could have stopped it all. Once he said to get Signetti's name out of your mouth, just slap yourself. Just give yourself an old Will Smith, and we can all move on. And then in 6 months, you can go on a redemption tour and talk about how Irby slapped you, and it was totally ridiculous. And your wife, his wife is somebody's wife is bald. I don't know. Moving on. Who and dating their son's friends. Who knows which one it is? I don't know. I get confused. It's the last time anybody watched more than 0 seconds of an award show, by the way. Speaking of awards, Druzy, who do you give the award? Which set of receivers do you give the award for most helping hands for the quarterback situation? We basically have Jackson Smith and Jigma and Cooper Kupp and some dudes. We're not going to include Shaheed in that because we're going to focus on him on special teams and X factors versus Diggs and Boutte and a bunch of other dudes. Who's getting more help this game?
yeah, I feel like Darnold has more help here. Both kind of similar situations, as you alluded to, Dilly. I mean, really a pretty sizable drop off between number 1 receivers and number 2 receivers for both teams. That said, I think if you just want to compare Diggs to JSN, it's not close. I mean, Smith and Jigba's had such an amazing season. He's been equally as good in the playoffs. Diggs is a little bit older. I do expect Steph Diggs to maybe chip on the shoulder type of a game here, and to show up and have a bit of a feisty attitude. But similarly, I take Kupp over Boutte, and then to your point, Dilly, probably a drop off. After that, you got Jake Bobo for Seattle. I mean, who shows up out of nowhere. But overall, I think Seattle's pass catchers do have an advantage over New England's group.
Herbs, any thoughts? Anything that isn't just ringing the same bell as Jersey just did on the receiving cores?
Now, the one thing I would add to that is that it's Smith and Jigba has the big play capability. I think Diggs and Cup were good about 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So this is a clear favor on Seattle. I think that's probably one of the big difference. Now, the catch of it is, can New England's defense slow down one guy? I know it's like it is one guy and then the rest with, but I truly believe that Cup is going to be a better supporting cast. So to Drewsy's point, I think the big play is the only thing that we would add to that. I think Sam Darnold will get a big one or two to Smith and Jibba that will help long term, and that could break open the game. I mean, you're up 10 points in this game. I think that might be enough with the two defenses, to be honest.
Do you think the Audible Angle and national media as a whole is understating the fact that Mac Hollins doesn't typically wear shoes at all? Do you think we covered that enough, or would you like to see some more exposés on Mac Hollins' footgear?
Warriors come out to play. I think we need more clinking of bottles. I think that's what we need. I do think Mac Hollins is one interesting dude. How about I say that? He's an interesting dude in this, polarizing, if you will, on his own doing, right? Like, this is his own thing. More power to him, Billy. Don't wear your shoes and clank bottles.
Jersey, how often are you going barefoot and getting grounded with the earth?
From June through August, it feels great. Otherwise, I do like shoes in general.
Interesting take.
Again, way out there from Jersey, way out there.
What other superfluous things do you guys like about the Super Bowl? Do you get into having a nice spread? Do you get into sitting in a room by yourself, eating enough food for 4 to 5 people? Do you meet up with anybody? Even commercials? Do you like commercials? Let's talk superfluous for a moment. Jersey, we'll give you a short time frame on the footgear. What are you doing Sunday? What's the big plan? What's a Druzy Super Bowl like?
Yeah, Sunday I am heading over to club soccer teammate of mine that I played with many years here in the Twin Cities post college, and a bunch of other guys that I played soccer with. And so looking forward to seeing those jokers. And I hope they watched this episode of the Audible Angle. And if they do, let me tell you, there should be some interesting comments coming from that crew. Can't wait to hear them. But it'll be nice to see some of the fellas and trying to figure out which kids belong to who. And there should be a pretty good spread, some beverages here and there, and I'm sure some stories. So I'm looking forward to that.
So that's a kids included. That's a kids included party. Oh,
correct.
Family. Nice.
Correct.
One interjection here before we go back to herbs. Jersey, you don't have to wait on chance or hope and wonder if they catch this episode of the Audible Angle. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth to the television, and instead of watching all the pregame BS and Mac Holland foot close-ups before the game, put on the Audible Angle, and then see if everybody has already watched. I mean, maybe everybody will be like, yeah, we already watched this. We're subscribers. If they're not subscribers, help them subscribe. If they're in a different room going to the bathroom, maybe grab their phone, click the YouTube, hit the subscribe. You can get on the kids' phones. You mentioned some kids. I bet some of those kids have cell phones. Grab their phone, pretend you're doing a magic trick. Take a whole bunch of phones into the bathroom with you and just subscribe everybody. It's very simple.
Don't do that. You'll never get invited back.
Some of that, Dilly. The others, some of the suggestions I might do away with, but you do make some good points. We'll do what we can do.
Irby, paint a picture of your Super Bowl Sunday afternoon and evening.
Well, I'll be honest. The plans are not yet solidified. I'm going to kind of give the viewers a look back in time. And I used to be a big, let's get together. Let's have a big spread. Let's bring the family together. Let's bring the extended family. Let's have this thing start at noon and end at about midnight after the game is completed. Big hoorah. And the last 2 or 3 years have kind of wound that down a little bit and really kind of liked. Now, part of this, Dilly, as you know, both being under contract with our advertisers and such, Bridge Up Brewery is requiring us to watch all of the games, start to finish, pregame included and postgame included. Being our main sponsor, they want all of the attention on us for our postgame stuff that we'll be coming out with early next week. So stay tuned for that. So I'll be watching it probably at home. There's a potential I do some pre-gaming at a local tavern just to try to get the taste of the excitement. But as I get older, Dilly, it's one of those things where I'd rather be sitting and drinking my own NA beer in with a couple of televisions. Maybe there's something else going on other than just the Super Bowl. So I'll be watching that at home most likely. But plans to be D.
Paint a little picture for you, and I'm actually gonna start off. I'll start off with my actual plans. 4 p.m. is when I'm going to kick it off and get really ramped up, and that's 4 p.m. Saturday. We'll be at X Golf, working on a sponsorship with X Golf. Know one of the owners pretty well, some management team stuff. The problem is they want us to commit to continuing to go there during the summer. It's a little weird doing the simulator golf, but I'll tell you what, in January, February, there's no better place to be. So I'll be pre-gaming for the Super Bowl Saturday from 4 to 7 at X Golf. And I'll tell you just a quick sidebar. Guys, listeners, you don't know how hard we're fighting to not talk about golf for this episode just because of the Super Bowl. It's Waste Management Open. We want to talk about our own swings and what we have coming down the pipe. I'll just keep it short and say it's been pretty good at the simulator.
Whoa!
The stroke is smooth and consistent. And then after that, we'll probably maybe stop somewhere and have a beer afterwards and have that feeling of ramping it up for the Super Bowl. But probably like 8:30, it'd be like, yeah, I'm tired. And then I'll go home, I'll go to bed, and then I won't think about the Super Bowl again until kickoff, and I'll probably watch it. And that's about it. There probably will not be a food spread. I'll just maybe gauge it on the fly what the ladies' interest level is. But what's happened other years, which is going to lead into my question here, is they've been in the kitchen. Maybe they'll do some baking or something not necessarily related to the game, and I'll be in the main room watching the TV, maybe highlighting some funny commercials. I want to go back in time. I like that Irby brought us back in time. And we'll start with Druzy because he probably doesn't have one. Favorite Super Bowl memory. And for me and Irby, we're going to exclude Packer games. Druzy, I don't think there is a Vikings game that you were alive for in the Super Bowl, but what's your favorite Super Bowl scenario? And don't be afraid to get off the rails here. There is no, age or, you can swear. It could be, you slept over at a lady's house that you didn't know, your buddy's aunt, whatever. What's your fondest Super Bowl watching memory?
Well, I guess you're asking me to be honest, and honest is what I will be.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is the Packers versus Patriots. Irby, you know where I'm going with this. Was it 96? I can't remember if it was the 96 season or it actually occurred in 96, but you know which one I'm talking about.
96.
And Irby and I were freshmen in Green Bay at the time, and what an evening it was. And it was party time in Green Bay, and all of that was well and good, except for the first winter men's soccer practice at 8 a.m. Monday morning after the Super Bowl was quite the spectacle. I think we had some guys that were slightly out of shape in the morning that maybe weren't performing at such a high level. And I could probably go into a lot more detail, but let's just say it was one of the most interesting conditioning sessions of all time in the history of collegiate sports after that particular evening.
Let me
I'm leaving out a
expound.
lot. Let me just say.
Let me expound. The festivities that followed the Super Bowl, there was a courtyard at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, which is still there. There were a lot of eggs being thrown. For whatever reason, somebody decided to bring eggs to the celebration. So there was eggs being thrown, which looked like snowballs, what they weren't. Indeed, the men's soccer team decided, thank you, Mr. Simon Bodison, for scheduling a training session the next morning, early doors. We ran around what is the Crest Center now, which was the Sports Center then, and it was in the gym, and we ran around 7 billion times, some of which the team members only ran 1 billion times because there were open doors, and they would run out the doors to the bathroom to do whatever end it was coming out in, which was both, and then they would run back
Then
in.
rejoin the marathon and just mix into the group as if nothing happened. And so at any one time, only half the team was actually running around the gym.
I am not kidding. There may also have been, I believe this was the session jersey, so remind me, most of our teammates' pocketbooks were a little lighter because we may or may not have paid the city of Green Bay a small fee to get one of our teammates out prior to that practice happening. God rest his soul, by the way, rest in peace. The gentleman that I'm talking about, we'll call him CB to keep his anonymity down, but he is no longer with us. But boy, was he with us that day. And he was, so the city of Green Bay has a little bit of my money as well as a number of others from the state of Washington, Oregon. I think there was some couple of guys. Anyway,
It was
an
wonderful
interesting
team
one.
bonding to get the fellows together to pony up.
Yes. Yes.
Sock drawer money.
I will tell you, Dilly, that is a very fond memory that I have. Not for some reason, I believe I was not one of those that was running out the door, but kept running so that I would cover for others. My fondest memory got to be between the age of maybe 4 to 7, maybe a slightly older, back on Merrimack Way, if you will. I remember we had one large TV in the household at that time, and it was color. But we would watch it in the upstairs living room that was facing towards your house. If you recall our place, Dilly, you and I grew up across the street from each other, kind of kitty corner, but it did face there. So I remember watching the game in that living room with the shag carpet, the whole 9 yards. And I was so excited because on that night I got to stay up at least to like through third or fourth quarter. I remember I may have even been able to watch the whole thing that night. But Super Bowl was kind of a big deal in the Urban household. Mom, dad, Brian, my little brother, we all watched it. And it was, I believe, if I remember correctly, that might have been the 49ers, Joe Montana throw that early. It probably was. I believe it was that one, but maybe I've got my years mixed up. But I do remember vividly it was at Merrimack Way.
The first one I remember was Niners versus Dolphins. And so it could have been that year. Obviously, the Niners weren't a couple in that time frame. That one was memorable because the entire family bet $1 on who would win, and I was the only one that took the 49ers, and I never got paid by anybody, I don't think. Um, so
With
the
Shout
whole
out
interest,
family,
Rod and
you
Stacy.
gotta
yeah, with the whole inheritance, I'm sorry, with interest, all inheritance is now should be directed to me. I'm not sure if that's legally binding or not, but it should be. I'll tell you what, I'm almost ashamed to bring up the memory that popped in my head that made that question. Um, it is a little more relevant to this game. My memory, and it's maybe recency bias because maybe I don't remember. I do remember watching that same Super Bowl in a college dorm in Minnesota. I don't think we had any run-ins with the authorities, and we certainly didn't chuck around eggs. That could be because we're incapacitated by the end of the game. In any case, it is the last time the Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots played each other in the Super Bowl. It was the exact scenario I discussed with the gals. I believe that was the year the Packers lost in the NFC Championship game in Seattle,
15-1. Yep.
which that happened while I was at Disney. Um, very thankful for that because I just got to go for a week of anonymity. Didn't watch TV, nothing. Didn't even have to think about that loss. But anyway, I professed how uninterested I was in the game, much like this game coming up. Interest level is 2 out of 10, and they were doing other stuff. They didn't really sit down and watch. I was like, I might watch it, might sit here and watch. So for 3 hours, I sat there in relative silence. They're doing other things, and when old Slick McGee, Russ Wilson, when he threw the interception to Malcolm Butler, I erupted in an extremely loud yelling, not jubilation, just, shock and amazement, and really, really frightened my daughter, who at the time would only be, 4 or something. She was like almost to tears because she was just shocked that I started randomly screaming and yelling and get down here, you got to see this, and replayed it. I'm like, look, they're going to win the game. Pete Carroll Pete Carrolled himself. That was a great memory. Good stuff. I don't have good closing on that one. You guys ready to golf?
I didn't catch
Can
you,
you
Billy.
still
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
Yeah, we got you.
We
And you
were
were
silent. I didn't intend my story to put you guys to sleep. Anything else to wrap up on the Super Bowl, either memories or looking ahead to this one? Any particular commercials you're looking forward to?
I'm always interested in see what Budweiser comes up with. That's kind of my thing. Doritos in the past has been pretty solid, so hopefully Doritos gets us a way back in. I think that Budweiser, I just like the nostalgia of Budweiser, the Clydesdales. They kind of never get old, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought back the most interesting man in the world. I would have preferred they did it during the Super Bowl, but I'm glad to see he's back and still thriving. And so maybe along those lines, I'd love to see. I think it was the Captain Morgan guy that would like stroll down the beach in the Speedos, and it was just like, be yourself. Not a care in the world that guy had. I think they should bring him back too, maybe in the same commercial as the most interesting man in the world.
That is interesting. Why don't some of these brands co-pollinate a little bit for fun? It's the Super Bowl. Have some fun. Have the Captain Morgan guy riding a Clydesdale, or chilling with the most interesting man in the world.
Right.
Hell, half those companies probably actually have the same secret ownership of some giant conglomeration or BlackRock or whoever. Is there even separate corporations anymore? This is a whole new episode we could get into. Or is it just one group of elite overlords controlling Earth? Anyway, it is a little bit with the Olympics. Kind of the preamble to the Olympics starting. We saw some women's hockey yesterday. I saw a Budweiser one today that my wife showed me with the Clydesdale with the little baby eagle and then their buddies. Like, that's a good commercial. That one could have been saved for the Super Bowl. I'm a little bit of a sucker for movie trailers, and I believe there'll be an Avengers Doomsday trailer. A little bit of a nerd out, but I'll be excited to see that one. Maybe the new Spider-Man movie. Give us something. Maybe the big one would be the best reveal possible. Old guy, white beard, sitting there. Holy shit! It's George R.R. Martin. And he announces in the Super Bowl commercial, "I've completed the 6th book of a Song of Ice and Fire. The Winds of Winter is now available. Go to Amazon.com and order it now. And pre-orders open now." That'd be pretty amazing. And then you'd have immediate regret realizing, well, there's a 7th book, and that'll take 25 years. So anyway, looking forward to seeing you guys soon at our Q1 meeting to go over the numbers. Druzy, we're going to bring you along on that one this time. You've been individually producing some good Q rating numbers. You're in the top 6 billion
All right.
humans on Earth Q rating.
Sounds good. Looking
What's
at
our
moving
final-
on up into the top
What's our
5
final
billion.
takes? What are we taking?
Yeah,
Who's got what?
do a little
Super Bowl.
Final Super
Predictions?
Bowl takes. We talked around in circles quite a bit on this, and I'm going to go, and some people love this. I'm going contrary to most of the bullshit I said on here. Those were all possibilities. Seattle, 31. New England Patriots, 10. Rashid Shaheed dominates the game. We get a special teams MVP once again. We forgot about special teams. You guys did. I didn't. Special teams rules the day. Seattle cakewalk. Druzy?
I'm Sam. I'm going to go something like Seattle 34, New England 17. Seattle covers, take the over, Sam Darnold, and Irby can stuff it.
Dude, we're all set to take the 4.5 points in the under 40 short minutes ago, but okay, here we go. This is real life. We told you you'd be shooting from the hip on the actual wagers and predictions. Irby?
Well, for everything for what I said, and I will recap. I kind of like the Patriots with plus 4.5. I think it's a wise bet to take the Patriots to cover this. I think that the Patriots defense is real. I think Drake May is the best quarterback of the two in this. With all that being said, guys, it's the Seattle Seahawks. 4-17. 24-17. Seattle Seahawks.
So, our official prediction, everybody, is you choose. Do you want to be wise or do you want to be wild? Do you want to have fun? It's the Super Bowl. During the year, make your money with us. Super Bowl, get weird. Tease it up to a 21-point spread and the cover. Tease give Cooper Kupp 2 touchdowns. Put a hundo on that and see it evaporate in seconds. Don't put a hundo on that. That's a terrible one. But find out whatever you believe in. See how much fun you want to have. And then just put not even a unit, whatever your regular betting unit is, cut it in half and then make it extreme. Patriots, if you think the Patriots are going to win, don't take the 4.5 points. Give them 10.5. Give Seattle 10.5 and say, stuff it up your shorts. Vrabel, McDonald, that's a restaurant. What a bum. So, yeah, hopefully people just listen to the last minute for their wagers and not the first 45. All right, boys, when are we getting back? We got to do college hoops, man. I used to be dreading the college hoops talk, but it keeps getting exciting. We'll do a little preview. We got to address Irby's top coaches idea and the fact that ESPN stole that idea, and then address the fact that Irby or Druzy, which one threw few out there, and Gonzaga finally getting their glory. Then they'll go shit the bed against Portland.
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Druzy,
you're welcome, Portland. Yeah.
Coach of the year, Gonzaga. Good call, Druzy.
Yep, no problem.
All we have to do is utter it on this. So, by the way, the fact that all three of us took Seattle, New England will win the Super Bowl.
6-3.
Yes.
6-3. Darnold will look awesome, but the rest of the team will let Darnold down. Drake May, 0 yards rushing. That's all happening, folks. All right, we'll see you boys soon.
See ya.
See you, boys.